Hey there everyone, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about some of the main differences and similarities between the protagonists from the mainline Pokemon games and their manga counterparts. For this, I'm going to try pick out rarer differences between the trainers so that I'm not repeating differences like they have different names or they have different teams. So without further ado, let's get straight into things. First up of course, we have Red. The most notable difference between this Red and his game counterpart is that Red speaks. A lot even. Where Red in the games is a silent and stoic trainer who only talks when he deems necessary, Red in the manga is a talkative shonen hero who's not afraid to shout out his true feelings. Another difference between these two Reds, as you can see, is that Red from the manga has a different design. On paper, this may not sound like much, but in comparison to all the other trainers on this list, Red's the only one with a design that drastically differences from his game version. For the two Blues, we have their difference in personalities, where in the games, Blue is an extremely cocky and arrogant trainer who runs his mouth whenever he gets the chance, but Blue from the manga prefers to keep it silent, showcasing his talents and skills rather than talk. However, he does still keep his arrogance. This change in nature actually comes from Blue's training with Chuck, which left Blue a lot more disciplined and edgy, as compared to his spoiled counterpart. On to Green, Green, and Leaf. With these three girls, Green from the manga shares the name with her game counterpart from Let's Go games, but she shares her design more with her counterpart from the Fire Red and Leaf Green games. The thing is, Green from the manga is actually the first of the three, since Leaf appeared in the third generation of Pokemon games, as opposed to the first. Anyway, the main difference between these three girls comes from their personality and backstory. For Green, she's a crafty girl that uses tricks and plans to win over against her enemies, but with Leaf, she's completely different, having full confidence in her battling abilities, taking the challenge head on. This all stems from Green's backstory of being kidnapped as a child, leaving her to fend for herself. Green from the manga and Green from the games share a much more similar personality, with both of them being trainers who like to tease people. For Yellow, she has no game counterpart, so we'll be skipping her. Gold and Ethan. For this one, I'm going to say the main difference comes from the fact that Ethan is a much more straightforward trainer who follows the gym challenge trying to become a champion, like a regular Pokemon story. But for Gold, he's more of a Pokemon breeder than a trainer. His goals and motive are also completely different, having nothing to do with the gym leaders. In his manga, he doesn't even directly meet all the gym leaders. That being said, he still does train his Pokemon and is pretty skilled. Another difference I want to mention actually comes from Ethan's Pokemon Master's description that mentions that he's a reliable veteran trainer who can be found in the mountains, which is pretty much the exact opposite of Gold, who's remarked as being unreliable and is mostly indoors playing pool. Next we have Chris and Chris. The two Chris actually have quite a lot in common, with them both being knowledgeable on Pokemon as well as being known for their kind personalities. The difference between them comes from what areas of Pokemon research they delve into, with Chris from the games being a character who strives in observing Pokemon and taking notes, whereas Chris from the manga strives in catching Pokemon and filling up the Pokedex. On to our next trainers, we have the Silvers. Silver in the games is a trainer with a real bad attitude. This is actually something that he has to work on throughout his time in the games, learning to treat his Pokemon with care rather than seeing them as tools. The Silver of the manga is different, as he doesn't have the same issue of mistreating his Pokemon. In fact, he actually looks after them very well. The main difference between the two, just like Green, stems from their backstory. With Silver from the games, he was abandoned by Giovanni, hence his spiteful nature. But for Silver in the manga, he was actually kidnapped and taken away from Giovanni, and this is the reason why Giovanni actually made Team Rocket in the first place. Now we have Ruby and Brendan. This one is as simple as it gets, as Brendan, just like many trainers in the games, is a kid who loves a Pokemon battle, and one day aims to be like his father, the gym leader Norman. He is also serious about Pokemon battles. This is the exact opposite for Ruby, as he is a trainer who loves Pokemon contests and wants nothing to do with his dad. He also dislikes Pokemon battles. So if these two were to meet, they would not get along. For Sapphire and May, they actually share more similarities rather than differences, with both of them being the daughter of Professor Birch and also doing fieldwork for him. Sapphire does also take on the gym challenge whilst doing this. And although they both do research for their dad, Sapphire goes to the extremes of it, pretty much becoming a caveman. Emerald, just like Yellow, has no counterpart, so he'll be skipped too. Now for Generation 4 with Diamond and Lucas, who could not be any more different. Lucas is a trainer from Sandgem Town who works with Professor Rowan on Pokemon Evolution, but Diamond is from Twinleaf Town and the son of Joanna, and works alongside his childhood friend Pearl in becoming a Pokemon comedian. However, they both share the similarity of having a strong sense of justice. This is also the same case for Pearl and Barry. Both of these two trainers share the similarity of being the son of Palmer, as well as being very straightforward and headstrong, and having the iconic catchphrase of finding a trainer 1 million Pokédollars. However, they differ in goals, with Barry wanting to become a strong trainer like his dad, but Pearl, as mentioned, wanting to become a Pokemon comedian. Now for Platinum and Dawn. Dawn is from Twinleaf Town and the daughter of Joanna, whilst Platinum is the daughter of Professor Rowan's assistant. as well as being from a very high established and extremely rich family in Sinnoh. Dawn is super friendly and easy to get along with, but Platinum is still nice, just a bit more regal. Black and Hilbert are next, with them also being more on the similar side. Both of these trainers travel the Unova region, getting stronger with the goal of becoming the best. The difference between them though comes from the way the trainers display themselves, with both of them hating losing, but where Hilbert will keep composed, Black will be more expressive. Y and Hilda on the other hand are complete opposites once again. Before she got on the battle subway, Y was a professional businesswoman who had no idea how to Pokemon battle. Hilda on the other hand is a hot-blooded trainer who loves to Pokemon battle. Blake and Nate are one of the two trainers on this list who are literally nothing alike. Blake is a member of the International Police like Looker, and he puts up a front of being a charming young trainer, but in reality he's a precise and serious enforcer. Nate on the other hand, he's just Nate. Nothing special about him, just a good old Pokemon trainer, especially compared to Blake. I feel kinda bad for Nate though, he kinda gets the short end of the stick with everything. Like in Masters, the guy doesn't even have a Signa suit yet. He could have had Keldeo, but nah, they just had to give it to the Kalos person. Moving on, we have Whitley and Rosa, the other pair who are nothing alike. Whitley, as the thumbnail shows, was a member of Team Plasma, at least before it got disbanded. She, however, is still a kind-hearted trainer who wants the best for all the Pokemon around her. After the events of the Black and White arc and Team Plasma getting disbanded and pursued, she and her mother tried to hide themselves and blend into the crowd. Rosa, on the other hand, is a trainer who loves to stand out and dreams of battling Pokemon trainers all over the world, whilst Whitley would never even dream of having a Pokemon battle, even hating the idea of capturing Pokemon in Pokeballs. X and Callum are both stoic trainers who put up a cool front, but both of them use this front to hide their true feelings, with Callum's being a burning pursuit of power and X being his trauma. Y and Serena are quite similar, with both of them being trainers who are usually quite cheerful, but when things get serious and it's battle time, they both get focused. Because of this, I'd say their biggest difference comes from the fact of their trainer classes. While Serena is just a general Pokemon trainer, Y is specifically a Sky trainer, as that's her passion. They do share a similarity of both of them changing their hairstyles and designs. Serena does this because she likes fashion, but for Y, she doesn't do it with choice, she does it rather to hide herself from Team Flare. Sun and Elio's main difference comes from their goals, as both trainers were noticed by Professor Kukui due to their skills. But where Elio chooses to adventure and explore Aloda's islands, Sun does it due to it being his job, as he loves that money. For Moon and Celine, Moon does the heavy lifting and making them different. For Celine, she's as average as it gets, just a Pokemon trainer. But for Moon on the other hand, she's a trainer who focuses on healing Pokemon and studying different types of poisons. Henry and Victor, these two are different due to Henry's obsession with tools and weapons. This is because he's a blacksmith trainer. Victor on the other hand is just a regular trainer who loves nature. They do however share a similarity of both being very strategic and direct in their battles. And lastly, we have Casey and Gloria. These two, like others on this list, are actually more similar than different, with both of them being energetic trainers who are raring to go. But if I had to pick a difference between these two, it would be that Casey can't stop shouting. Like everything she says, she has to shout very loud. And with that, that's the difference between every main character from the games and their manga counterparts. I know some entries were kind of cop-outs and kind of lame, but I tried my best just not to say they have different teams, as that's just too obvious. Either way, if you liked this video, thanks a lot for watching, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.